everybody, and welcome to the weekly Scopes from the 20th of April to the 26th of April. Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's weekly Scopes. If you've heard this before, you can skip, but this is just the intro on how I, formulate these astrology weekly readings. I use astrology and my intuition to give you advice how you can practically use the knowledge of the stars and the planets and apply them to your life. So my weekly scopes are all based on GMT time and on Vedic Constellational Astrology. So now I'm just going to explain what Vedic Constellational Astrology is and how it differs from Western astrology. So the precession of the equinox is sort of like something that happens in astronomy and astrology, where the Earth's axis undergoes a slow circular motion over 26,000 years, and basically this means that this motion causes a shift in the position of the equinoxes and also the calculation Vedic and Western astrologies use. So around 2,000 years ago, the tropical and sidereal Vedic astrology signs of astrology were aligned in the same position. So if the sun was in Scorpio in Vedic astrology, it was also in the constellation of Scorpio in Western astrology. But because of the precession of the equinoxes, this has caused a gradual westward sort of like drift of the tropical Western signs. So basically these signs and the Western signs shift 1 degree with every 72 years. So as a result of this ongoing shift, when Western astrology says the sun is in the constellation of Pisces, it's typically in the constellation of Aquarius. Still, this is because the degree, orb and the date for Western and Vedic astrology are 24 degrees 24 days apart. So in Western astrology, the sun enters the constellation of Pisces around the 19th of February each year, but actually the sun doesn't arrive into the constellation of Pisces until the 13th to the 15th of March each year, and Vedic astrology takes this into account because it's based on the fixed star positions, and Vedic astrologers use sidereal calculations. So as a result, Vedic astrology takes into account the actual positions of the constellations in the sky at any given time, and also considers the precession of the equinox, adjusting for the shift in the position of the equinoxes over time. But in terms of Western astrology follows the tropical zodiac, which is based on the seasons rather than fixed star positions. Western astrologers also do not directly account for the precession of the equinox in their calculations as well, so this results in slightly different calculations and interpretations that are given whether we're using Western astrology or Vedic astrology. So yeah, as I said, Western astrology uses specific dates, so every year, regardless of where the sun actually is at the sky, the sun moves into Pisces around the 19th of February. So yeah, this discrepancy, this misalignment between the tropical zodiac and the actual positions of the constellations has led to a discrepancy between Vedic astrology and Western astrology. So I consider the actual where the sun and the moon are and where Mars and Venus are at any given time, and this is how I formulate these sort of like weekly scopes. So yeah, thanks for listening to this, and let's dive into this week's weekly scope. Okay, so now I'm just going to explain what parallels and contra-parallels are in astrology, because I use them in my chart interpretation. So declination in astrology is the measure of how far a celestial body is, such as the sun, whether it's either north or south of the celestial equator. And the celestial equator is an imaginary line in the sky above the Earth's equator, which us astrologers use in our interpretation. So parallels happen when two planets are on the same declination, either both planets are on the north side side, or either both planets are on the south side, and this alignment increases the influence of the involved planets. So it's similar to a conjunction aspect, as it amplifies their energy, making the effects of the planets more pronounced. Contra-parallels, on the other hand, happen when two planets are on the same declination, but one is in the north and one is in the south. So this alignment creates tension, which is similar to an opposition aspect, and it can lead to conflict, challenges and inner struggles between the energies of the planets involved. So contra-parallels highlight areas of friction or contrast in our lives, urging us to find balance between the opposing forces at play. When transiting parallels and contra-parallels happen, they can sort of like trigger significant events, shifting consciousness and periods of intense growth and transformation. So I look at these aspects closely during chart analysis to understand how planetary energies interact and influence each other during a specific time frame, to pinpoint key periods for personal development, relationship dynamics or career shifts, and other shifts like karmic shifts and stuff like that. Because I just find using contra-parallels and parallels gives me more depth in interpretation, so I use them. So contra-parallels and parallels in astrology serve as markers for potential challenges or breakthroughs, guiding us towards more self-awareness, love, acceptance, understanding, forgiveness for ourselves and others, and shifts in consciousness and growth. So overall, just a shift in our mindset if we allow for it. So parallels and contra-parallels just kind of like provide valuable insights into the complexities and nuances of the astrological interactions between planetary movements. So yeah, that's the end of what contra-parallels and parallels are. So this week we've got 3 aspects influencing us. The first is Mercury making a parallel to Neptune. This entered on the 1st of April, was exact on the 6th of April, is also exact again on the 20th of April, and leaves us on the 26th of April, so influencing us all of this week. And Mercury's in Cancer and Neptune's in Pisces. Saturn also makes a conjunction to the Moon's North Node, and this aspect is exact at 12:31 on the 21st of April. It entered on the 15th of April. It leaves us on the 29th of April, and both Saturn and the Moon's North Node are in Pisces. Mercury makes a parallel to Venus, and Mercury and Venus are both in Pisces, and retrograde, they're both still retrograde, in Pisces. And this is exact on the 25th of April. It entered on the 20th of April and leaves us on the 30th of April. So Mercury's parallel to Neptune allows us to be more intuitive and imaginative this week. Mercury represents the intellect and communication, and when it intertwines with Neptune's dreamy and elusive energy, we can find that our thoughts drift more towards creativity and spiritual exploration, really wanting to get more in touch with our creative and spiritual side. It encourages us and supports us to express our ideas through art, poetry or any other imaginative activities, and it's a good time for brainstorming or spiritual practices like Tai Chi, yoga, visualization. But negatively, Neptune's foggy influence and the fact that it always wants us to escape on the negative end, we can struggle to articulate our thoughts clearly, leading to confusion or misinterpretation in communications, and we may just want to be lied to. We want to just be deluded, right, or delude others, tell them lies, confuse them. So we may ignore red flags, we can be deceptive highly, we can be deceived, so be careful with your finances this week as well. and make sure what you're saying is truth, you know. It can always make us want to escape into intoxicating substances, excessive use of drug, alcohol, hookups, Netflix and chilling and all of that. Psychologically, it wants us to dig into our subconscious and our hidden fears and be aware of them, you know, and it serves as a motivator for healing, allowing us to confront and release emotional blockages, and it just shows us that it's a time for introspection and connecting with ourselves on that deeper level. And this aspect emphasizes our intuition and our emotional intelligence. So, you know, it really wants us to tap into those this week. It wants us to trust our instincts, spend time on our spiritual practices in nature, and just really embrace our finding meaning in our life and listening to our inner truth. But we have to maintain clarity, stay grounded, do things to ground us, participate in healthy self-care, right? As Neptune influence can also lead to us romanticizing situations and wanting us to chase illusions, as I said. So balancing our dreams and this imaginative energy with being practical is needed. Saturn's conjunction to the moon's north node brings that grounded. This is really, really good. It helps us to confront and live up to our responsibilities and think about how they align with our life purpose, you know. It gives us a sense of discipline when going after our long-term goals and encourages us to lay down the foundations for success. So there's a good energy to strategically plan this week, having more compassion for ourselves, especially more compassion and being grounded in our spirituality and creativity, you know. And it gives us the ability to manifest our dreams and ideas into reality in a practical way, you know, motivating us once again to reflect on our past life choices and think about the lessons that we have or haven't known from them and how this shapes our future or our life now. But again, we can have self-doubt and feelings of being overwhelmed by the demands of maturity and responsibility, and this can get in the way of us wanting to move forward. Or, you know, we love our comfort zones of humans, right? So sometimes we don't want to move forward. We can be fearful of, we may have to do things and let go of relationships and thought patterns and self-destructive behaviours that comfort us now, and this is why we numb ourselves, right, in intoxicating substances. But spiritually, it's a call to align with our inner goals with practical realities and to learn the lessons of building resilience, keeping going, your perseverance and commitment, you know, and consistency as well. It wants us to take our life lessons seriously and think about the qualities we are meant to develop, because that's what North Node energy and Saturn's conjunct in the North Node, right? So it's wanting us to, you know, think about our real purpose, the things we really want to do in life, and get with the program sort of thing, you know. Also, it wants us to evaluate how our emotional responses and intuitive insights inform our decision making, and we can just feel a strong pull towards connecting with our higher self, as Saturn's stability allows for a more serious, deep integration of our spiritual goals and our other goals into our everyday life. So just thinking about how you can change your routine, getting enough sleep, eating right and all of that to give you the longevity and the energy needed to meet your goals, right? It allows us to set clear intentions for the future while remaining grounded in the present moment and aligning our actions with our soul mission. Mercury's parallel to Venus, you know, wants us to express affection this week and appreciation, giving gratitude for the small things, making it a favourable time for deepening our relationships and nurturing new romantic connections, and encourages us to communicate more artistically and poetically and creatively, and this can enable us to share our feelings in a deep way. You know, we can take things more seriously. People may take their feelings more seriously, you know. Saturn, yes, but it's conjunct in the North Node and they're both in Pisces, so it just gives us the energy not to be swept away by emotions, but to feel them and handle practical matters. It increases our sensitivity and intuition, and we can just find ourselves having discussions about love, art, spirituality more easily, as it allows us to connect deeply with others through our heart center, you know, and we can align our thoughts with our true authentic desires, you know, and it encourages us to reflect on the nature of love and beauty in our lives and just be more compassionate and empathetic. And it just serves as a reminder to balance rational thought with emotional wisdom, guiding us to a more holistic understanding of our relationships and desires this week. So yeah, that's the main energies influencing us, and now I'm just going to talk about the day-to-day transits that last 2 to 3 days that also add flavour to our week. So yeah, on the 20th of April, we've got Mercury making a parallel to transit Neptune at 9:07 a.m. The Moon enters Capricorn at 1:35. The Sun makes a semi-sextile to Neptune at 3:36. Venus makes a sextile to Uranus at 7:21. Mercury makes a sextile to Pluto at 10:40. So yeah. So Mercury's parallel to Neptune, I talked about this already. The Sun's semi-sextile to Neptune happens when the Sun's in Aries and Neptune's in Pisces, and this energy lasts us for a few days. Venus's sextile to Uranus also lasts a few days until the 24th of April, and Venus is in Pisces and Uranus is in Taurus. Mercury's sextile to Pluto happens when Mercury's in Pisces and Pluto's in Capricorn. So the Moon in Capricorn gives us grounding and allows us to be down to earth and strategic in our thinking because it makes us more pragmatic. Emotions become less immediate, and it wants us to focus on understanding the long-term implications of our feelings and emotions, building emotional intelligence and prioritizing growth and personal accountability. We can experience increased emotional discipline, and it gives us the capacity to manage feelings through rational analysis. It strengthens our personal resilience when the Moon's in Capricorn, and it just allows us to have self-possession, feeling calm and being able to work under pressure and handle crisis under pressures as well, as it promotes inner strength and resilience, right? Even though we may have to navigate challenging experiences and feelings right now, it allows us to create powerful forward movement momentum in our professional and educational development. Our emotional maturity can peak, so it allows us to make decisions that balance our heart and mind with exceptional clarity and wisdom. But negatively, we can suppress our emotions, and this can lead to feelings of isolation and burnout. We can become overly critical and inflexible in our emotional processing, blocking them out and blocking genuine connection and neglecting our existing committed relationships and commitments in general. We just need to watch out for burnout as well, and the best use of this energy is to practice emotional flexibility and structured reflection while maintaining compassionate self-awareness, and use journaling for strategic self-understanding and create balanced approaches that honor both our emotional depth and practical growth. The Sun's sextile to Neptune allows us to be more intuitive and sensitive this week, which the main influences of this week are allowing us to do that. It helps us to go into our inner world and bring our dreams and visions to the forefront in an empathetic and practical way. We can just be more open to spiritual exploration, and this can allow our creative ideas to flow, right? But it adds to the escapism of the week and getting lost in unrealistic fantasies and illusions if we neglect our grounding practices, so we must do that. Venus's sextile to Uranus brings an exhilarating energy, sparking excitement in relationships and creative plans. It allows us to be spontaneous, and we may feel a stronger need to break free from our traditional norms, what people say we should do, and other people's expectations communication, so that's good, and just be more authentic in our love life and self-love as well. Mercury set style to Pluto can add to the power struggles and communication struggles of this week, but it allows us to have deep insights into our communication and thought processes, and we can just find that conversations take a deeper significance, allowing us to uncover hidden truths and spend time in transformative chatter. So overall, the transits on the 20th allows us to be creative and explore meaningful communication. On the 21st of April, the Sun makes a square to Mars, the Moon enters its last quarter moon phase, the Moon's North Node goes stationary direct at 2:45, and Saturn's conjunction to the Moon's North Node is exact at 12:32, and I talked about this earlier. So the Sun square to Mars happens when the Sun's in Aries and Mars is in Cancer, and this energy lasts us a couple of days. So the last quarter moon wants us to reflect and find closure, and we may feel a pull, and it supports us in releasing outdated patterns of thought, behaviour and relating to ourselves and others. The Moon's North Node direct allows us to work on long-term stability and commitment to our personal growth and our career and education goals. We should use this energy to rethink our direction and make necessary change, ensuring that we reach whatever we're doing is helping us reach our higher purpose. The Sun square to Mars could make us impulsive, but negatively it helps us to, focus on our authentic selves and our ego and be self-confident as well. But we just need to watch out for overstepping other people's boundaries and allowing them to overstep ours. On the 22nd of April, the moon void of course starts and the moon enters Aquarius. So the moon entering Aquarius allows us to vibe with our individuality, supports us with thinking outside of the box, can make us more socially aware, and motivates us to connect with like-minded people and participate in community efforts or working together as a team in any context, So on the 23rd of April, the Sun makes a square to Pluto, and the Sun's in Aries and Pluto's in Capricorn during the Sun square to Pluto, and this energy lasts us a few days. So it's a challenging dynamic. It adds to the confrontations and power struggles that can come up this week. It wants us to confront and supports us in confronting buried emotions and hidden motivations. While it may be challenging, it offers a potent opportunity for transformation if we navigate the intensity with awareness. But we can find ourselves struggling with our feelings of vulnerability right now, and we can have a desire to control others, right now. So it's important to channel Pluto's intensity productively into constructive thought and action, and it can just give us a clearer understanding of our desires and motivations if we're just open to working with this energy. On the 24th of April, Venus makes a conjunction to the Moon's North Node. There's a balsamic moon that happens at 3:24. The Moon enters void of course at 4:10, then enters Pisces at 10:58 p.m. So Venus's conjunction to the North Node energy lasts us for a few days. Venus and the North Node is in Pisces, so it just allows us to build new relationships or deepen existing relationships, repairing conflicts in those. It wants us to work on our personal values and our beliefs. Why do you believe the things that you do? It wants us to think about our sense of beauty and harmony and look into the ways which our personal desires align with our life path. It's a good energy to help us with setting intentions, particularly in the areas of romance, social relationships and creativity. The balsamic moon allows us with our self-reflection this week and wants us to have closure and let go of things before the new beginnings of the new moon, right? But we have to be mindful of potential pitfalls, which are us being overly romantic and idealistic, which can cloud our judgment regarding our relationships and projects that no longer serve us. Get real about what you need to let go of and strike a balance between our idealistic plans and practical realities. To To use this energy effectively, focus on the activities, the things that nurture your soul and connect with your true values, whether it's through artistic expression, deepening your personal relationships, or engaging in community projects as well. It allows us to have meaningful transformations if we vibe with this energy and work towards our destiny. The moon in Pisces, as to us being able to connect to ourselves spiritually and others on that intuitive level, and it increases our emotional sensitivity, and it can help us feel more connected on a universal level and break down barriers between personal and collective consciousness. And it invites us to have deeper empathy and spiritual understanding. So it just helps us, works with us to tap into the emotional undercurrents and unspoken feelings of the moment, and we can just have an almost supernatural ability to be in tune with our own and others' feelings and creativity right now, and emotional expression can become a powerful healing tool, and it allows us to connect with others on the soul level and transcend typical emotional boundaries, and spiritual practices can become more accessible to us, helping us to have profound, deep emotional and personal growth opportunities. But negatively, it can add to the oversensitivity, emotional exhaustion, us feeling overwhelmed and secretive and just wanting to escape, into intoxicating substances. Our boundaries can become too absorbed into other people's experiences, and we can lose our sense of self. So we have to try and stay as grounded as we can, maintain clear boundaries, and channel our increased sensitivity into creative healing practices such as meditation, and self-care is a central tool for handling not only today's energy but this week's energies. On the 25th of April, Venus makes a conjunction to Saturn, the moon's north node goes retrograde, Mercury makes a quintile to Jupiter, the sun makes a semi-square to Jupiter too, Mercury's contra-parallel to Neptune is exact at 8:53, and I talked about this earlier, and Mercury's parallel to Venus is exact at 12:43 as well. So Venus's conjunction to Saturn happened when they're both in Pisces. Mercury's quintile to Jupiter happens when Mercury's in Pisces and Jupiter's in Taurus. The sun's semi-square to happens when the sun's in Aries and Jupiter's in Taurus. So, Saturn's conjunction to Venus allows us to be committed and be stable in, with our finances, and relationships are good for relationship reviews and renewing our finances. Really evaluating the foundations of our partnerships. Are they meeting our needs? Are we meeting our partner's needs? What do we need to adjust? Do we need to let go of the relationship? It encourages us to be realistic about our expectations, what to expect from ourselves and others, and nurture a sense of responsibility towards ourselves and those we care about. But negatively, it can add to the emotional coldness this week, and it wants us to find a balance between love and being practical. The moon's north node going retrograde allows us to go inward and rethink our past decisions and align them with our true path. Mercury's quintile to Jupiter supports us with being creative and being open to new ideas to solve our problems, and the sun's semi-square to Jupiter brings tension, but it motivates us to manage overindulgence and our unrealistic goals, because we've got a lot of Venus energy this week and Neptune as well, that can make us overindulge as well, so we need to be mindful of that. On the 26th of April, Mercury's contra-parallel to the moon's north node at 9:58 a.m. The moon enters void of course at 5:18 p.m. and then the moon enters Aries at 11:09 p.m. So when the moon moves through Aries, it brings a surge of empathy. It can help us be more spontaneous and raw and unfiltered in our feelings. It allows us to tap into our personal truths, and it brings a fusion and mix of of intense passion and direct emotional communication. So it allows us to get real, have those conversations we may have been putting off. It may be scary at first, people may say things we don't want to hear, right? But try and give each other the safe space to communicate. Practice active listening, which is listening to see what the person's saying, not listening to, say you pre-recorded or, you pre-recorded in your mind speech and that. It gives us the confidence to express our feelings quickly and decisively, so good for emotional commitments, and it just allows us to really tap into our emotions and set our personal boundaries and be open to change, and it supports rapid personal growth and transformation. Some of you may make a decision today in your relationship or in your own spiritual personal development, and you will stick to it. The moon in Aries brings challenges, though we can be impulsive in our emotional reactions, and this can lead to unnecessary conflicts and a tendency towards quick anger. So the best use of this energy is to be emotionally intelligent, channel it into productive activities, and practice being mindful and embrace the opportunity for authentic self-expression. So yeah, that's the end of this week's weekly Scopes. I'm Amani, your holistic astrological life coach. Take care and see you next week.